Okay, in this video, I wanted to talk about some of the other resources that I have on Canvas for the stock market game. First thing that I wanted to show you is the key terms for the stock market game. I pulled this up in two other videos, and it started with the difference between stocks, mutual funds, the Dow, the S&P, all of that. And then I just went through the research terms with showing you Apple. Now I wanted to point out a couple of things here about some general concepts. Long position and short position. Okay, so long position is this idea that idea of buy low, sell high. So when you have a long position, you are hoping that the stock price increases. That's what most people know. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with long position. A short position, on the other hand, was actually started by a guy that was not a very nice guy. He was actually trying to cheat and swindle people out of money, and it's actually turned into a legit thing. This is basically the idea of how to make money when the market is going down. This is important for right now when we have a very volatile market and the market is going up and down, and so you got to kind of take a look at whether this is a good idea for you. But basically, the way a short position works is that you borrow a stock from somebody else. Okay, so you borrow a stock from a company, an institutional investor, somebody who has a long position and is hoping the stock price goes up. You borrow the stock, then you sell the stock. So you sell the stock at a high price, and then you wait for the stock to drop in value. And then you buy the stock back, okay, at a low price and return the shares to the person that you borrowed from, the company you borrowed from. The difference between the high price and the low price is actually your profit. So here I gave an example of Microsoft, and if I said that I did a short position from August 18th to the 25th, which by the way is extraordinarily short period of time, this is from 47.27 on the 18th to 47 on the 25th. I would make $6.08 per share. That would be my profit. So if I had 100 shares, I'd make $680 in a course of 7 days. So that is something that you can do. I will tell you, short positions, you got to be very careful and very watchful, because as a whole, stocks will turn around, and as a whole they should bounce back and turn back around. Microsoft, for example, bounced back since the 25th. I wouldn't have held it for much longer. Buying on margin. Buying on margin is this idea that you can borrow borrow money to buy stocks, but you're putting up your stock as collateral. So think of it as if you've ever, sometimes teachers do this, so if you've ever had a teacher that said that, you say, oh, can I borrow a pencil? And they say, okay, yes, you can borrow my pencil, but you have to give me collateral. You have to give me something to ensure that I'll get my pencil back. So sometimes I've done this if I've had people that serially borrow my pencils and they don't give them back. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes it's got to the point where, I've taken somebody's shoe, okay? So you give me your shoe, and that makes sure that I get my pencil back. In the case of buying on margin, you are putting up your stock as collateral. So in other words, if you don't pay the loan back, they will take your stock. Now here's the problem with this though. Okay, unlike the pencil shoe scenario, okay, the value of your pencil, my pencil, and the value of your shoe is constant. It stays the same. But in the case of stocks, the value of the stock is constantly fluctuating. So sometimes the value of the stock is not worth the value of the loan. So especially if your stock has dropped in value too much that it's no longer worth what you paid for it, then you're going to have a problem. And then you're going to have to put up some more money. Now you can buy on margin for the game. You will pay 7% interest for this privilege. So you could borrow up to another 150,000. So your actual buying power is 250,000 in the stock market game. Now, how do you do this? Well, you just keep on spending. You spend more than 100,000, which is what you originally had. So you could do that. Stock splits. Stock splits can happen You never know if they're going to happen during the course of the game. Sometimes I've had it happen. Sometimes I go a couple of games when there's no stock splits at all. Basically, the idea of a stock split is that the company decides to do this when they feel that the stock price has gotten so high that people are not wanting to buy a particular stock because they feel like, oh, well, that's too expensive for me. The most common stock split is a 2-for-1. So a 2-for-1 split means that for every one stock you had before the split, now you have two stocks. Okay, but now the price is also divided in two. So if you do the math, it doesn't really make a difference either way. But I gave you, for instance, I actually looked this up, and the company Skechers, the ones that actually make the shoes, will have a 3-for-1 stock split on October 16th in 2015. And if the stock price, let's say I'm put it out nice and easy number, if the stock price was originally $138 a share and I have 100 shares, okay, what that means is that on October 16th, and the company will decide a date in the future when they will do this, and they will say you have to own the stock by a certain date in order to qualify for the split. So on October 16th, I will, instead of 100 shares, I'll now have 300 shares. Okay, but now the stock price will be divided by 3. So I'll take 138 divided by 3, which is $46 a share. Either way, if you multiply it out, so before the split, I had 100 shares at $138 a share. So 138 times 100 will give you 13,800. After the split, I have 300 shares at $46 a share. So 300 times 46 is 13,800. It doesn't make a difference either way. The whole idea here is that they're trying to make it cheaper. So they're hoping that some people will look at this $46 a share and say, oh, well, I can afford that. Whereas 138, they're like, geez, that's a little expensive. I can't afford that. So they're hoping to kind of drive up interest in their stock. But you and I know, duh, if you can afford a 46, just buy 1/3 less at 138. It's the same thing. But for some reason, it does work most of the time. And so after the split, it drives up the stock price and you will actually make money. So if you have a stock split that happens and you're not sure what the heck's going on, just ask. I'll explain it to you. I also wanted to explain commission. In the stock market game, you will be charged commission. Basically, it's the cost of doing a transaction. In the real life, you do get charged commission. You may have seen some commercials for different trading companies, online trading companies like Scottrade. I think they have $5 trades. Some other companies will charge you just a flat rate, and it will be, for example, $200 and you can trade as many times as you want. Other companies, it will be a percentage of however much you're trading. In real life, you want to be careful on what the commission is that you're charged, because you want to pay attention to, all right, how much am I going to actually trade? If you're doing Scottrade, okay, $5 a trade, that doesn't sound like much, and it isn't, as long as you're not trading a whole lot. But if you are trading a lot, that gets to add up real quick. So you got to be careful about that. In the case of our game, we are actually charged 1% commission for every time you make a trade. Now, I said every time you make a trade. That means 1% for when you buy and 1% for when you sell. So in this game, if I buy a stock for $20 a share and I buy 100 shares, okay, so that means I'm spending $2,000, okay, just to buy it. I will be charged 20 cents per share. Okay, so that means I'll be charged $20 to buy it. Okay, but when I sell, I'll also be charged 1% commission. So if I sell at $30 a share, remember I'm selling 100 shares, I will be charged 30 cents per share. Okay, because $30 times 0.01 will give me 30 cents per share, which is a total of $30 to sell. So in total, I'll have to take $50 out of my $1,000 profit to be able to pay for commission alone. Now, that I made that example as specifically in the end that I actually made money, but sometimes I have people that forget about the idea that you have to take commission into effect as far as trying to calculate if you're actually making money on a stock. The last point that I wanted to make is penny stocks. You will hear this term every once in a while. Penny stocks are any stock that costs less than $5 a share. They can make a good percentage of money increase over time. Sirius XM satellite radio had a price of $3.87 as of September 9th of 2015. Back in 94, their price was $4.13, and at one point it even went up all the way up to $61 in February 2000. But most of the time it fluctuates between $3 and $4. So $3.87, that's right around their high. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that particular one, but you can make some really good money out from penny stocks. Okay, so those are the big things that I wanted to make sure that you understand. I know that there's a document and you can read it, but I wanted to make sure I kind of walked you through and explained it a little more. If you have any questions about any of these general concepts, please let me know.